I've injected peptides into my own body, and I've recommended them to thousands of patients. And today, I'm going to tell you the truth about what's actually working in the space, which peptides I've seen deliver real results for healing, for fat loss, for keeping muscle while you're losing weight, for insanely popular peptides that are running on pure hype and Reddit testimonials, and the ones that actually deserve way more attention than they're probably getting. The sleepers that work just as well, sometimes even better, that almost nobody in the biohacking world is even talking about. I'm also going to show you the one trap that ruins everything else. It's not the peptides themselves, it's something that most people never think about until it's too late. I'm Dr. Jones, DC, and I run a coaching department for our nationwide peptide and GLP-1 clinic. And my own weight loss journey is kind of what got me into all this space, and peptides became a passion of mine along the way. And now I work with our medical team helping patients get this freaking right. Because we all know peptides ain't cheap, right? Here's the problem though. The peptides that work, I've seen them work, right? But the internet's advice on how to use them, this is where it starts to fall apart. You go online, for example, you find a thread with 400 upvotes, some guy saying he ran BPC at 500 micrograms twice a day for 6 weeks, and then his shoulder was brand new. It sounds great. So you copy that protocol and then nothing. Or worse, you feel something for a week and then it stops and you really have no idea why. The peptide probably wasn't the problem. Might have been, depending on the source. The protocol was the problem, because the Reddit guy, you didn't know his injury, you didn't know his diet, you didn't know what he injected was even real. You just copied his homework and hoped for the best. And this is what I see constantly. People running peptides based on forum posts or TikTok clips, not based on clinical experience from someone who's actually using them with real patients. Then they wonder why their results are hit or miss. Remember, I have a team of clinicians and we prescribe to thousands of patients. Peptides aren't overhyped. The advice is overhyped. And that's what I want to fix today. So I'm going to walk you through what I've actually seen work and then give you a framework so that you never fall for bad advice again. I've used these peptides. I've recommended them to thousands of patients. I've watched what happens when people run them right and what happens when they run them wrong. So what I'm about to show you isn't based on what went viral, it's based on what I've actually seen work. And then I'll give you 3 questions to ask before you ever run a peptide again. Okay, so number 1, who's telling you this, right? Is it somebody who's actually used the peptide clinically with real patients and seen what happens? Or is it just a guy online who's tried it once? Number 2, do you know what's in your vial? Not what the label says, what's actually in there. I'm gonna show you some numbers later that will make you think twice about trusting that label. And then number 3, did you test it? If you're going gray market or you're verifying what you're injecting, or are you just hoping? Those 3 questions will save you thousands of dollars and months of frustration. By the way, if you're already running peptides and you're not sure if your protocol is dialed in, our patient educators can help. Feel free to use that discovery call in the description, or you guys can text number on the screen if you want to get an idea of what it's like to work with me or my team that can help you with all this. Let me show you what these peptides can actually do when you use them right. So let's start with healing first. I've seen patients with devastating injuries. So my background is when we had physical locations is we did stem cell procedures, platelet-rich plasma, stem cells, umbilical cords, amnio tissue, which is non-cellular. We've done it all. And seeing the massive healing take place was profound. But peptides are also profound too. And so truthfully, at the end of the day, I tell patients all the time, when you're getting peptides, if you have a nagging injury, go get a PRP injection in your knee at the same time so we can magnify this if it's a local injury that's really bad. But what's cool about peptides is they also hit the systemic area as well. So let's start with healing peptides, BPC-157, TB-500. These are the ones that everybody asks about first. So BPC-157, body protection compound. This is the peptide where I've seen some of the most impressive patient reports for tissue repair, gut healing and recovery. Patients come in with injuries that have been nagging them for months, sometimes years, and many of them tell me BPC helped accelerate what their body was already trying to do. And then there's inflammation, gut issues, joint problems, soft tissue injuries. This is where BPC shines. I've had patients tell me they felt a difference within the first 2 weeks. And now that's not everybody. Just some people take a lot longer, but when BPC works, it freaking works. Here's what you need to know about running it. Cycling matters. BPC has a favorable safety profile based on what we've seen. You can be a little bit more aggressive with it, just don't run it forever with no breaks, okay? Because there is a desensitization that happens with most peptides. And sourcing is everything. The question isn't whether BPC works, it's whether what's in your vial is actually BPC. And I'll get to that later. But keep that in the back of your mind. Now, TB-500, this is the recovery accelerator. If BPC is the healer, TB-500 is the one that speeds up the healing process. I've seen patients get back to training weeks earlier than expected. Stacking BPC and TB-500 is the classic combo for a reason. You probably heard of people call it the Wolverine healing stack. They complement each other. BPC for tissue repair, TB-500 for cell migration and faster recovery. If you've got a significant injury, this stack is worth looking at. If what I just said about BPC and TB-500 made something click for you, then hit that subscribe button right now, because we put out 2 peptide videos every single week, breaking down protocols, mistakes, and what's actually working with patients. And you don't want to miss those. And be sure to turn on that bell. Now, if your goal is fat loss and metabolic healing, That's a different toolkit. So AOD9604 is one of our favorite fat loss peptides, and I'll tell you why. It's a modified fragment of human growth hormone, specifically the region associated with fat mobilization. So you get the lipolytic, lipolysis benefit, breaking down fat, while minimizing any growth hormone IGF-1 effects that you would get. Here's how we use it with patients. We typically use AOD during fasting windows, when insulin levels are low, because that's when lipolysis is most active. It stimulates lipolysis, increasing the release of stored fatty acids so that your body can actually use them for fuel. Patients who combine AOD with fasting tell me that fasting feels easier, and we see the results come better and faster. AOD isn't something that you need to run forever, but it's a powerful tool during a fat loss phase. Cycling matters here too as well. Always, we're gonna have a patient on a GLP-1 first, like tirzepatide. Now here's where it gets interesting. AOD is great on its own, but I also use it as part of a metabolic stack. We also use compounds and peptides that target mitochondrial function, like MOTC or SLOOP332. Think of them as metabolic support agents alongside AMPK activators that help combat the slowdown that happens when calories come back up. So this stack works like this. AOD supports fat mobilization, the mitochondrial agents support metabolic function, the AMPK activators help maintain progress when calories increase. This is phase 2 of how I approach metabolic healing with patients. But here's the thing, AOD doesn't do the work for you. It makes the work that you're already doing hit harder. You still need to be in a calorie deficit. You still need to be fasting. This is an amplifier, not a magic pill. Before you say it, I know what you're thinking. I don't have to fast. And you're right. If you want to lower insulin levels during your weight loss, that's when you need to do fasting. And a whole other conversation about who needs to do that. If you want long-term success, in my opinion, you need to be lowering insulin levels when you're trying to successfully achieve weight maintenance in the future, especially if your weight has been an issue for you a long time. Now here's where people on GLP-1s should pay attention. One of the biggest concerns that I hear is muscle loss. You're losing weight on semaglutide or tirzepatide or retatrutide, but you're worried that you're losing muscle along with the fat. That's a legitimate concern, and this is where growth hormone peptides come into play. CJC-1295 and ipamorelin is the combo that I recommend most often. Here's how it works. CJC is like a gas pedal. It tells your pituitary gland to release more growth hormone. Ipamorelin works on the ghrelin receptor to boost growth hormone release and help overcome some of the normal inhibition signals, right? It stops the slowdown. Together they work through complementary pathways, which is why we use them in combination. The benefits go far beyond just muscle preservation though. You get fat mobilization, improved sleep, noticeably better sleep, faster recovery, immune support, even cognitive benefits. This is one of those peptides where patients tell me they just feel better overall, growth hormone, fountain of youth sort of thing. Here's how we run it. Cycling matters. Give your receptors a break, and timing matters. We recommend injecting away from meals. Elevated insulin can dampen the growth hormone response, so an empty stomach, ideally before bed, tends to work best. We're talking 5 days on, 2 days off. That's the approach that we recommend to patients. And I tell patients, look, give it time. This isn't a peptide where you see results within a week. Most patients don't notice the real changes until 8 to 12 weeks in. Don't quit early. Now, tesamorelin is another option. It has strong research showing visceral fat reduction, particularly in the HIV lipodystrophy population. This is where it's been most studied, but it costs more. It's more pricey. So for most people, CJC-IPA is the broader, more cost-effective play. It covers more bases. Now, if you're on a GLP-1 and worried about losing muscle along with fat, this is the answer. Preserve what you don't want to lose while you're losing what you do. And if you want me to make a video on how we actually design peptide stacks in our clinic, what we combine, what we never combine, and why most Reddit protocols are built wrong, let me know in the comments if that would be helpful to you. Okay, so the peptides I just covered, BPC, TB-500, AOD, CJC-IPA, those are the ones everyone talks about. There are peptides flying completely under the radar that I also have seen work incredibly well. Okay, Thymosin Alpha-1. This is the sleeper of all sleepers. This one gets way less attention in the biohacking world than it deserves, and I have no idea why. I have an idea. I think people just don't know how to use it because it works and it has a track record that puts most other peptides to shame. We're talking about immune system modulation, meaning it balances the immune system. It was approved in many countries for certain infections as an adjunct in even cancer care. For autoimmune support and long COVID, those applications of course are still being explored, but this is one of the first peptides I think about for patients dealing with immune system dysfunction. And here's the kicker. This peptide has been used in over 11,000 people. It's approved in 35 countries. This isn't some experimental compound with no history. It's got a friggin' resume. Most of the peptides people are injecting have an audition tape, but Thymosin Alpha-1 has been around the block. And it has a strong safety profile, so you could run longer cycles with it for immune support. This one's a freaking no-brainer here. Next up, KPV. This one's gaining traction for good reason. It's a fragment of alpha MSH, and it's showing promising anti-inflammatory effects in gut and skin models. For autoimmune application, what I've seen with it is patients dealing with gut problems. It's been really impressive. And then there's Larazotide. This one's for a tight junction modulator. This one is for leaky gut. being studied primarily for celiac-related intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut. The mechanism is solid for patients who have tried everything for gut issues and nothing's worked. This is the one that we keep coming back to. So if you're only paying attention to the peptides that went viral, the BPC, the TB, the usual suspects, you're missing some powerful tools. Thymosin Alpha-1, KPV, Larazotide. These are the sleepers. They work and they deserve more attention than they're getting. Quick gut check. If someone asked you right now what makes Thymosin Alpha-1 different from the other peptides that I mentioned earlier, could you tell them? Think about that for a second. Now, everything that I just told you assumes one thing, that what's in your vial is actually what it says in the vial. And unfortunately, this is the trap that can ruin everything. It's not the peptides, it's the sourcing. And a lot of people don't think about it until it's too late. Here's what independent testing has found. A notable percentage of gray market peptides show endotoxin, meaning the bad stuff that these microorganisms, these bacteria can release. Contamination above preferred thresholds. Not the majority, but enough that you can't assume what you're getting is clean. Some samples have been shown wrong amino acid sequences entirely, not underdose, just wrong peptide. And then of course, underdosing as well. You think you're injecting BPC and it might be something else or nothing at all. So, and here's the part that gets people. You see a certificate that says 99% purity and you think you're safe, but you're not. That 99% purity test is done with HPLC. And HPLC does not detect endotoxins. It doesn't detect bacterial contamination. It doesn't detect the stuff that actually can make you sick. 99% purity is the peptide version of 100% chicken. Sure, technically, but that doesn't tell you what else is in there. So what do you do here? If you're going through a 503A compounding pharmacy, you're in better shape. Those are regulated. They have to meet standards that are enforced. And that's what we use with our patients personally. Now, I'm not poo-pooing gray market. Like, I get it. You guys got to do what you do. And I'm going to help you as much as I can. If you're going to go gray market, you need to test your own product. Don't trust the label. Actually test it. Third-party testing exists for a reason. Use it or accept that you're rolling the dice every single time you inject. Now, let me know in the comments, what's your current peptide protocol? What are you running? Where are you getting it from? And what are you hoping that it does? And maybe what has it done for you so far? And I'll let you know how we might adjust it based off what we see in our clinic. Now, even with good sourcing, people still screw this up. So let me run through the mistakes that I'm seeing constantly. Okay, number one, old vials. You reconstituted that peptide 6 months ago, been sitting in your fridge like leftover pizza, and you're still using it. Peptides degrade. That vial is not as potent as it was. Some of them are basically water at this point. Okay, number two, online dosing. You copied a protocol from someone that you never met, whose injury is different than yours, whose body is different than yours, whose source is different than yours, and now you're wondering why your results suck. Shocking, right? Number three, kitchen sink stacking. Running 4 or 5 peptides at once because more is better, right? Wrong. You have no idea what's working. You have no idea what's causing that side effect. You turned yourself into a freaking science experiment with no control group. And then number 4, no baseline. You started 3 peptides the same week. Something's working. What is it? Be honest, you have no idea. Start with 1, assess, add another. Assess. That's how you learn what actually moves the needle for you and your body at this time, right? Because health is a linear thing, it changes. Number 5, no cycling. Running peptides year-round, wondering why they stopped working. That's what happens when you don't take breaks. And then number 6, trusting the label. Never tested, just hoped. We already covered this. Don't be that guy or gal. Okay, be honest with yourself for a second. Which of those mistakes sounds like your situation? Really think about it because the answer tells you exactly what to fix first. What's the move here? Let me bring this all together. Before you run any peptide, ask yourself those 3 questions. Who's telling you this? Someone random or someone with real clinical experience? Do you know what's actually in your vial? And did you test it? Or are you just trusting the source? Match the peptide to your goal. If it's healing, BPC, TB-500, if it's a fat loss and metabolic reset, AOD, metabolic support compounds, if it's muscle preservation, sleep recovery, CJC, IPA, tesamorelin, and if it's immune system, look into Thymosin Alpha-1. That one deserves way more attention than it's getting. Respect the cycling. These aren't forever drugs, forever peptides. Build in the breaks or you're gonna see a diminishing return. And if you are gonna go gray market, for crying out loud, test your product. Don't trust the label. Don't trust 99% purity. Actually verify what you're putting in your body. And stack with intention, not desperation. 1 peptide at a time. Assess, then add. That's how you know what's actually working for you. Now look, if you want peptides done right, that's what we do, okay? Pharmacy grade sourcing, 503A compounding pharmacies, real protocol design based on your goals, not some copy pasted thing from Reddit. Someone's actually watching your progress and adjusting as you go. Our patient educators do these free discovery calls. You guys can text number on the screen or check out the link in the description. They're gonna go through your history, what you've tried, what's worked and what hasn't. And they're gonna walk through your goals and show you exactly what working with us looks like, and of course programs and pricing and how the whole thing is. No pressure, just information. I pride myself in and ensuring and communicating to you guys that that's not a pressure situation. It's just an opportunity to learn and make a decision if you want my help or not, above what obviously you get from these amazing YouTube productions that I bust my butt to give you guys. Okay, so another sleeper peptide that did not make it into this video, GHK copper, guys. This is hair, skin, and nails. Unfortunately, I got to it too late, as you guys can see, but this one's an amazing one. We'll see you guys later.